Good evening. Good evening. There we go. Good evening. Thank you for everyone coming tonight for Meet the Candidate. I just wanted to welcome Dr. Rivers and Tim Sasson. We have Suffolk PTA here moderating the event this evening. All questions are being submitted beforehand, and I will turn it over to Suffolk PTA. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to East Islip's Meet the Candidates Night. I am Wendy Natalone from Suffolk Region PTA, and I will be tonight's moderator. And we have Chrissy Centrone, who is collecting the index cards, and we have Sherry McKittrick, who will be our timekeeper tonight. Before we begin, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I go over the process that will take place tonight, I would like to introduce the candidates. We have Dr. Michelle Rivers and Mr. Timothy Sasson. The following guidelines for the evening must be followed. No letters or statements by absent candidates will be read. Only the candidates present may speak. We ask the audience to hold its applause until the end in order for the moderator to ask as many questions as possible. There will be a moderator, an index card collector, and a timekeeper from Suffolk Region PTA. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes to make a presentation stating qualifications and reasons for running. When the 3 minutes are up, the timekeeper will ring a bell to signify that the sentence must be completed. All questions will be written on index cards, reviewed and selected by the moderator and by Chrissy. Questions will be asked of all candidates. Any questions addressed to only one individual or those which contain personal attacks will be discarded. The moderator will make the final decision regarding all questions. You may not necessarily hear your question in the way it was written. Each candidate is given the opportunity to answer each question in 1 minute. When the minute is up, the timekeeper will ring a bell indicating the candidate must finish the sentence. No rebuttals are allowed during the question and answer period. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make a closing statement after the last question has been answered. At this time, candidates can make rebuttals. The length of the program will be determined by the moderator prior to the beginning of the evening. Based upon the fact that we only have 2 candidates, and depending upon how many questions we get, we might be finished by 8 o'clock. It really depends on how many questions we receive and if they're redundant, because we already have some questions that are kind of similar. So we will make a decision when to end, but we will announce this will be the last question, so this way everybody will know that it will be the last question, and then we will follow that with the closing statements. Opening presentations will be in alphabetical order, and closing statements will be in reverse alphabetical order. No literature may be given out at this meeting by the candidate or by any of the candidate's supporters. The moderator reserves the right to end the program at any time if they deem it necessary. At this time, we will begin with our opening statements, and we will begin with Dr. Rivers for her 3-minute opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I am a candidate, as you all know, for the East Islip School Board. Because one, I believe in future-ready education. I am running on 4 pillars: students first, arts and innovation, future-ready education, accessibility, and inclusion. I'm running because I believe it's important to have a voice for the voiceless, where every student, regardless of background, ability, or identity, feels seen, valued, and empowered to succeed. As a mother and grandmother of a former student, I bring over 27 years of experience in public education, from the classroom to district leadership, and I'm super proud of that, including roles as a teacher, assistant principal, director, assistant superintendent, and a short stint as a superintendent. I currently work as assistant superintendent for human resources at Eastern Suffolk BOCES, where I supervise about 30 staff in the agency, and we do a phenomenal job serving as the lifeline of Eastern Suffolk BOCES. I lead with a healing-centered lens, focusing on building strong, inclusive school communities that support both students and staff. As a lifelong advocate for the arts, STEAM, students and staff well-being, I'm committed to ensuring programs like music, robotics, and visual arts receive the necessary funding that they deserve. As a board member, I will work on policies that reflect on our shared values, such as treating people with dignity, respect, equity, fairness. I'm not going to come into this role, if elected, knowing all the answers. I don't espouse to know all the answers. I'm here to listen, I'm here to learn, I'm here to lead with open-mindedness, transparency, and integrity. Together, I think we can create a school system where every child thrives. I did mention that I'm a creative arts therapist, and so I lead also ensuring that the mental well-being of all children is at the forefront of decisions, and that we put students first. So I appreciate everyone that came here tonight to meet us, to ask us questions, and I definitely appreciate the Suffolk Region PTA for giving us the opportunity to share tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sesson?
So I'm getting a little feedback here. All right, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight, and I'd also like to thank the Suffolk PTA as well. It's a pleasure to introduce myself to the community. For those of you that know me already, I'm running to be re-elected as a trustee for the East Islip School Board. East Islip is a community steeped in tradition, core family values. If elected, it's my intention to accurately reflect the desires of the community and to advocate for all children, regardless of their talents and abilities. As children are our most valuable commodity, the school board decisions must be profoundly and broadly focused on their interests. My platform is children and absolutely nothing else. Education has and will always be a passion in my life, and I feel a rigorous academic program would be beneficial to our district. I received my Bachelor of Science degree from Stony Brook with a double major in business and management and economics with a minor in European history. While working in the private sector, my passion for the past led to a master's degree in history and a career in education, where I've been for the last 24 years. As a capstone to my educational career, I received a postmaster's degree in both school building and school district leadership. These experiences make me keenly aware from items ranging from budget analysis to local and state curriculum goals. A priority of mine is to work as hard as I can to give parents control of their children's education and health choices, to ensure that teachers additionally have training and tools to equip students for their futures. It is my goal as a member of the East Islip Board of Education for students to receive a top-notch education with a diverse set of opportunities based on desire and ability. Additionally, I would always make an important intentional effort to prevent soaring tax levy increases and protect our property values and have a chance for the future generations to remain in this community. My three children are in high school and middle school respectively. They are heavily involved in the arts. I'm also an advocate for arts as well. I have two kids in chorus, one kid in honors wind ensemble. And I believe that a well-rounded education, including sports, music, and education would be our desires. Basically, as a parent, as a taxpayer, and educator, I would represent all stakeholders in the community as well. I'm not here for personal political reasons at all, in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to be your voice. Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here, by the way.
you. At this time, we will begin the question and answer portion of the program. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. And we will begin with Dr. Rivers. What outside community organizations do you belong to?
Thank you for the question. So I currently am affiliated with the Huntington Arts Council. I serve on the board. I've been serving on the board there for about 3 years. I am also serve on the board of the Nassau County Alliance of Black School Educators. I volunteer with several organizations, the work program, which supports a reentry program for women that are coming in from incarceration. And I think that's it in terms of organizations that I'm affiliated with. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
All right, I'm affiliated with East Islip Little League and East Islip PAL football. But in reality, everything, I'm locally based, community oriented. Everything I get involved in is, well, basically has dwindled down to and divulged down to this local area. I'm extremely interested, obviously I'm a school board member. I'm invested in my kids' education. I'm a local coach, an advocate, and supporter of our schools in every which way. And that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Sasson. Should East Islip maintain or abolish its DEI policy, considering its impact on the school district?
The DEI policy came up a couple of years ago. I was one of the 2 board members that voted against the DEI policy because we already have a law that basically essentially recognizes that everyone should be treated respectfully and fairly. And I felt that the DEI policy, especially the way it was written from New York State, had tremendous political overtones, and it was meant to kind of bifurcate communities based on power and based on perceptions of the past. And I essentially thought that legally, everyone should come to school in a safe environment, a safe place. I was one that voted against it. As you can see, a lot of these institutions, like Harvard and UPenn, have supported DEI in the past, and these are the people that are kind of like, even saying allowing Holocaust deniers and stuff like that. So it depends on, people can take DEI and twist it any way they want to, but legally, everyone should be entitled to legal equality and a safe place to learn in every which way, and I felt that the DEI would just be redundant, and it's politically based. And it was based on current political things that were going on at the time.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
Thank you for the question. No, I do not believe that DEI should be abolished as a policy. Policies allow the school district and other organizations to govern. It also allows for organizations to have things in place to ensure that people that come from different backgrounds feel seen, feel heard, and affirmed. I don't see DEI as a political tool. I know that it can be used as a political tool, but I do not see it as a political tool. There is so much pushback now in our society regarding DEI, and I am for not censoring DEI. I'm also for just creating an inclusive environment where everyone feels they belong, affirmed, and seen, and that's why DEI is so important. Thank you.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Dr. Rivers. What do you see as the role or duty of a Board of Education member? Is it to be an instrument of change, or is it to represent the people of the East Islip community?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a dual answer. I'm just going to say yes, and in that I do think that board members should be a voice of the community, but I also think that board members have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that the decisions that we make as a board are in the best interest of children. Could you repeat the first part of the question again?
What do you see as the role or duty of a Board of Education?
Right. So first and foremost, supervising, hiring, and evaluating the superintendent and providing the necessary support for the superintendent to do their job without micromanaging.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
I'm sorry, let me just grab this. Yes, I feel like the 3 roles or few things that a school board member should be aware of is definitely creating a fiscally responsible budget, because in the end, we're kind of purveyors of the taxpayer money. We should be distributing it in an effective and I guess you could say responsible way. Also, a top-notch education that is cutting edge, and just not keep the traditions of the past, as you were saying. We should move forward as far as increasing our availability for APs and maybe even IB programs, arts, sciences, STEAM, all that kind of stuff. And also safety and security of students is a big issue. Safety and security of students, make sure they come to a school feeling safe and secure in every way, shape, and form, and providing the superintendent with the tools to do that, as well as what she said, not to micromanage, to make the correct hiring decisions and let the administrators do the administrative goals, and we can oversee that. And those three priorities: fiscal responsibility, resource safety, and creating a top-notch progressive education.
Thank you. Our next question we will begin with Mr. Sasson. What is your opinion on the do not harm policy regarding low scores on state regents exams being excluded from a student's final grade?
Okay, that's an interesting question. I've worked obviously for many years in schools, and I've graded regents exams and I've dealt with them. There should be a no harm policy on regents exams, because unfortunately there's a variety of differences when it comes down to test taking ability, and one of the things that needs to be interesting is that it comes down to what the state deems is what they find important that year. I've seen testing and regents exams be all over the gamut, from easy curves to less curves, and I think that for us as a district to have a harm policy and not eliminate a score that brings our local grades down, and other districts doing that, having a no harm policy, puts us at a disadvantage. So I think that the East Islip community should have a no harm policy when it comes to regents exams on their overall average, because obviously a test score is not a holistic view of what a student can or cannot do. I don't want to put our kids at a disadvantage from getting into colleges when other schools like Jericho, and they have a no harm policy as well. And all these top-notch schools have no harm policies, and we still have yet to do that.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
So I agree with Mr. Sasson in that I do feel that we should have a no harm policy. New York State is currently revamping the portrait of a graduate. So by 2027, we anticipate that regents exams will no longer prevent students from graduating. And so I'm hopeful for that to be in place. In terms of testing and how it really translates into the workforce, testing is not a good indicator of how students can succeed in the workforce, nor is it a good indicator of how students need to socially be involved and be able to interact and collaborate with people that they may seem to be different from themselves. So I agree with the no harm, and that is something that I would support.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Dr. Rivers. If you were elected to the Board of Education, how would you handle situations where the Board of Education must implement a rule or regulation from New York State that you do not personally agree with?
Thank you for the question. One, I would, as a board member, ensure that we are receiving advice from our legal counsel to make sure that we are making fiduciary decisions that won't impact the school district, because if it's a decision that could lead to litigation, then that's going to cost the taxpayers dollars. And research whatever the decision is so that I can make an informed decision as a board member and participate in the process of having discussions with other board members. You are on it with these cards. And so in terms of if I do not agree, I will do the best in reading, finding out what it means, seeing how it could potentially impact the students and the community, and if it would ultimately impact the taxpayers in any type of way. But I do think litigation will be the ultimate sacrifice we would have to make if we disagree with something that could be a mandate from New York State, and we do not want to lose funds when it comes to that.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
Yeah, I've been in this situation a couple of times. Obviously, if you've been paying attention recently, there's been a couple of things. Since COVID, there's been state mandates. The mascot's a state mandate from the Board of Regents. And obviously, I disagree with both of those things. I felt we should be unmasked. I also felt that we should remain to keep our mascot. But unfortunately, they're threatening funding. It was our responsibility to kind of make sure we're following the rule of law. But also I was instrumental in writing letters to the state from a protest point of view about how I disagreed with that, and most of the other board members agreed with me. I feel that if something happened that was egregious, and I felt, I don't want to put kids at a disadvantage and strip funding from them for no reason, but I really feel the time is coming soon. At some point, I'm going to have to like passively resist and not go along with the state mandate at some point. If it involves our children, we're just compromising these things. This is almost like a dictatorial stuff that's coming from New York State, and I'm going to make a stand at some point, and that'll be soon as well.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Mr. Sasson. There appears to be a disproportionate focus on sports, particularly football in this district. How can the board member elected ensure that the district supports all kids, including those in theater, art, and music?
Okay, I disagree with that statement fundamentally in principle. Just because we have a successful football team and the community rallies around it, and it is a source of pride, does not mean that it's, I guess, taking away interest or funding at all from any other programs, I guess you could say. A lot of our stuff, a lot of the stuff that comes from our program is actually donated. It's a public record. A lot of the uniforms and helmets, a lot of that's donated. We pay a coach's salary, that's about it. So as far as saying that it's sapping away money from funds like the arts is ludicrous. I also believe that we still have a pretty robust arts program. It's pretty recognized around the county for sure. And I really don't think that it's sacrificing our arts program whatsoever. You're able to have an educational and sports and music program all at the same time. So.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
Again, thank you for the question. So as a board member, I think it's important for us to understand student agency and student voice. So I would work with the superintendent to find out really what the plan is to identify whether or not this is an issue that's coming from the students. Because if we're about student agency and student voice, it's important for us to survey the students to find out if this is indeed an issue. And if it is an issue, the superintendent and their team would come up with a plan as to how they would address this issue if students are feeling this way. I think the sports are opportunity for students to collaborate and learn from each other, but I also think art is the same in terms of collaborating and learning from each other, and it absolutely will prepare them for the workforce, but starting with student voice first.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Dr. Rivers. Please share your views on armed security.
Okay. Thank you for that question. I do not believe in armed security. I do not think that guns have a place in schools. I think it leaves too much room for potential accidents, potential harm to students. I think that if you are looking at the work that we do with students, especially if you're looking at it through a restorative lens and not a punitive lens, I don't think it is necessary to have armed people in buildings with children. Guns and bullets don't have a name, so anything could happen, and I don't know that that's necessary to keep children safe. While we want children to be in a safe and conducive environment, armed guards is not something that I agree with.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
Although, yeah, there's just a fundamental disagreement. I believe that security needs to be armed to definitely confront some of the challenges of today. We have all kinds of systems, and we have all kinds of identification and getting into the doors and making sure all the windows are locked. But of course, a predator doesn't obey any of those rules. And if the worst were to happen, of course, the only thing to meet with force would be force itself. So I believe that, I can't really point to any accident that occurred with any security guard, any armed security guard anywhere. If it happened once or twice, I would definitely rethink it. But the fact that it's happened almost 0 times, especially in schools with armed security all over the country, I believe that it would be in the best interest of the community to have a security force that's able to protect themselves and the children instead of waiting that extra second or 20 seconds or 20 minutes for the police to come. And ultimately, that's the only thing that can make you safe at that point in time if there was something, if the worst were to befall upon the community.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
I responded.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next question. We will start with Mr. Sasson. Are you a part of any district-wide committees?
Yes, I'm a part of the audit committee, where we go over the fiscal spending and the responsibility of the district, especially when it comes to our finances. Especially one of the things that I made a priority this year was to make sure we were reinvesting our reserves, to make sure we were involved in CDs and money market accounts to make a lot. We did credit Mr. Harrison with this. We made a good amount of money on investments this year, so that obviously helps the burden of the taxpayer for sure. I'm involved in Excellence in Learning Committee and School Safety Committee.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
Good evening and thank you. No, I am not currently involved in any committees at East Islip School District. I am getting off the sidelines and I'm excited about the future. Even if I am not elected as a board member, I do plan to participate in committees moving forward, particularly the curriculum committee and the audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, we will begin with Dr. Rivers. How can our kids compete with other districts when the AP classes are being eliminated, such as AP Physics?
Well, I'm not familiar with whether or not AP Physics is being eliminated or not, so I really don't want to necessarily speak to that. But what I would like to speak to is I would like to know what the plan is for 3rd through 8th grade students. ELA proficiency, currently they're 39% proficient. The 3rd through 8th math, 43% proficiency. We have 71% of the 4% African American students with a 71% graduation rate. Our students with disabilities, 82% graduation rate. I appreciate all the AP courses, but there are students that are being left behind, and I would like to see what the plan is moving forward to support those students so that we can increase the graduation rates when it comes to those students.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
Yeah, I see this question in two parts. I definitely agree with Dr. Rivers about making sure that everyone has the opportunity to graduate and do better. I think the 3 through 8 numbers might be a little skewed because we have a pretty high opt-out rate in East Islip, which might be one of the reasons what might skew the numbers a little bit. But when it comes down to that AP exam, or that AP class, for example, if there was one missing this year, it's because of lack of enrollment, not for the fact that we want to cancel AP classes. It's a lack of desire for it. We have probably 2 or 3 more AP classes, like research and seminar, that came on while that one left, but that could come back next year. I really think that, of course, running a class with numbers that are less than, I guess, applicable, like less than 10 kids, for example, is not very efficient. So we'll provide resources for those kids to be able to get as much help as they can to take that AP Physics exam, and maybe it will come back the next year. But this seems like a question pointed at a particular subset of kids that want something this year, and sometimes classes don't run for that reason, and sometimes they do, and of course, I would love to see more APs and more arts, more everything. But unfortunately, the money's an issue.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Sasson. Mental health has become a growing concern with many students, teachers, and parents. What programs or initiatives would you, if elected, work on to help provide resources for the members of the community?
Are we talking about members of the community or students? If we're talking about students in that case, obviously since COVID there's been a dramatic increase in mental health issues, of course. We're all recognizing that, we see it in school. I just want to provide all the guidance counselors with the tools that they need. I think we should pop into elementary school classrooms a little bit more to make sure, and we did that. We actually have guidance counselors now at the elementary level to ensure that's the case. That happened under our leadership on the board. And we want to make it a priority to make sure that every kid is heard and that every kid feels safe and can go down to guidance whenever possible. And we should also be proactive when it comes to mental health issues instead of reactive, and be able to identify certain things within the district. And I've been working with administrators to identify some of those things as well, and there should be a pretty robust program to continue those things. Pushing it at elementary school level is a big thing, to understand that school should be a safe place where you should be able to walk into guidance, you should be able to walk into your administrative office and talk about any concerns without fear of retribution in any shape, way, or fashion. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
Do you mind just repeating the question? I just want to make sure.
Sure.
There was...
Mental health has become a growing concern with many students, teachers, and parents. What programs or initiatives would you, if elected, work on to help provide resources for the members of the community?
Thank you for that. So as a board member, I don't think it's our place to work on programs. I think it's our place to support the superintendent and ask what the plan is to support the student mental health and well-being by identifying like how many guidance counselors, how many social workers, how many psychologists are in buildings. I noticed on the district website that we have an East Islip School District community resources for families that list social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists in the community that has not been updated since 2019. So ensure that those types of things are updated, but again, with the support of the superintendent and working with the superintendent to identify what their plan is so that we can have the necessary mental health plans for the students in the community.
Thank you. For our next question, we will begin with Dr. Rivers. Please explain why you support or do not support this year's budget.
Okay, thank you. So I do support this year's budget. We are at 1.75, but we did not pierce the tax levy, so I'm super excited about that. And in terms of the increase, is the 2.35% increase in the budget, which is still below, so that it means to me that this district is making fiscally sound decisions. There are two petitions on this board vote for May 20th that speaks specifically to transportation. They're going to be reducing the transportation, which will widen the scope for more students to have transportation, as well as the child safety zone report that was done by the district that will allow more students to be picked up by the bus and not put them in unsafe situations. And so I am definitely in support of the budget. Those are only about $47 and $50 of increases to the taxpayers, and they're doing a really good job in terms of, thank you. Oh, should I keep going? Finish this? Okay. They're doing a really good job of using the current funds that we have to upgrade different things that are happening across the district, and so I think they're making fiscally sound decisions with the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Sasson.
Thank you. One of the things that's interesting about this budget is 1.75. That was one of the biggest ones in 10 years, and even with that, we're well under the cap. The cap could have been at close to 3%. Obviously, there's a lot going on. We'd love it to be a little bit lower, but there's inflation. Obviously, you could tell if you've ever gone shopping recently that inflation is definitely an issue, and that kind of trickles down to the school district as well. But even before that, we were less than 1% a couple of times. I think the average is less than 1% over 10 years. And that's incredible considering we could have went to 2 to 3 all those years. So considering the ability to go up as high as that much higher, we could have done that. We decided not to decrease the burden of taxpayer funding. Also with the school bus thing as well, there is a proposition to decrease from a mile to a half a mile, which I'd be totally in support of as well, because obviously it's 2025, and there are a host of new issues that parents have to deal with, and having your kid walk over that bridge sometimes is the safest thing in the world, and we should be providing transportation to these kids. Our taxpayers pay enough money as it is.
Thank you. Our next question will begin with Mr. Sasson. How will you as a trustee work with fellow board members, district staff, parent, teacher, student organizations, and community organizations to promote respect, dignity, inclusion, equitable treatment, and access to programs and opportunities to all district students?
Oh, it's a big question. All right. So one of the things that I think that I've been good at over the years is making relationships with not only the school board members, but members of the community, parents, teachers. I believe that it's important as a school board member to make sure that you see eye to eye on a lot of these issues, and we're on the same team. We all want the same things, and anyone who knows me personally knows that I will ensure that their child gets fair treatment and equitable treatment when it comes to, obviously, they're entitled to those things by law, and obviously if there's ever a question or concern, I'm a person that's able to talk and show transparency. Transparency is one of the biggest things that's imaginable. I would find it horrific to not tell the truth or to hide the truth in any way, shape, or form. I believe that if you contact me directly, I will will call you. I believe I will call you directly instead of emailing you. I would probably personally and explain to you what is going on. And I think that everyone in the community recognizes that, and they know that I'm a person that they speak to anybody else they can come to and speak to about those things. And plus, I have kids in the district, so I feel like I'm a strong stakeholder in the district as well.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
So that was a pretty long question, if you don't mind.
There was a lot of it.
Yeah.
How will you as a trustee work with fellow board members, district staff, parent, teacher, student organizations, and community organizations to promote respect, dignity, inclusion, equitable treatment, and access to programs and opportunities for all district students?
Okay, thank you. So I think I'm going to start with the curriculum. Again, I would go to the superintendent as a board member and find out what the plan is. In my review of the curriculum, it's pretty much a monolithic curriculum. There's not much diversity. There is again little diversity. If you look at even the makeup of staff across the agency, I think it's important for the superintendent and his team to be more intentional when it comes to hiring. When students leave this district, they are entering to a diverse workforce. And so when you see only people that don't reflect the diverse workforce that they're going into, it sets them up to not be able to interact with people that may look differently from them, that may be from different cultural and racial backgrounds. And so really supporting the superintendent and asking about what is your plan to address these things that I see as gaps.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Dr. Rivers. As a trustee, would you support greater parental involvement in discussions that could lead to changes in the curriculum?
Yes and no. It depends on what that looks like. So, for example, I do believe that parents should have a voice in the curriculum in terms of the design of the curriculum and how that curriculum is being presented in the classroom. I think that should be left up to the experts. But ensuring that students see a reflection of themselves in the curriculum, I think parents have a voice in saying, hey, in your K-2, our curriculum, I'm only seeing one person, Romare Bearden, as a person of color. In your music theory courses, it is a monolithic, there are no persons of color being discussed in the music theory classes or some of the other ones. Now, I haven't done a deep dive of the curriculum, but I think there is a gap there that needs to be addressed, and I think parents should have an opportunity to voice their concerns if the curriculum is not reflecting their children that are attending East Islip schools.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
Yeah, my experience with the curriculum over the last 23 years teaching social studies, especially from the New York State perspective, shows an intense deep dive into different races and different ethnicities, from Native Americans to African American culture. I see a lot in the social studies classroom is disseminated by the state, so I think when the state does that, they do a good job with that. But when it comes down to curriculum decisions based on, I guess you could say, life lessons or anything related to political desires, I think the community should definitely have a little bit of an input. Of course, we have to be able to hear them, but this is a hard question because you have to be able to weigh that along with being an academic. We have to be critical of every single thing that comes in. We have to question everything. We have to make sure that even if the parents have an opinion about something and they want something pushed, we have to give the counterpoint to that. We have to get every perspective at all times and question everything always. That's our job as educators, and that's our job as teachers. Ultimately, I'm a teacher, and at the very end of the day, I'm still a teacher. If I was the superintendent, I'd still be a teacher. So we have to question almost everything, and input from parents would be a definite positive with that.
Thank you. Our next question, we will begin with Mr. Sasson. How many school board meetings have you attended this past year?
Oh, that's okay, all of them? With the exception of one, I'm on the dais, so that's maybe a question that probably would be fielded for people that are probably trying to become school board members. So yes, I've been to all the meetings except I believe one. We were going on a college visit. But other than that, I've been here for everything and obviously all the pre-meetings and post-meetings, stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably, I remember answering that question before I was on the board, and those were people running for running for board, but I am on the board itself, so I'm on the dais almost with the exception of one time this year, but almost every other time.
Thank you, Dr. Rivers.
So I have not attended any meetings in person. I have watched school board meetings via YouTube, and I'm sure this probably was a question for me, but just let me be unequivocally clear. As a community member, I think caring for children does not stop at the boundaries of my household. I care for children, and so if I care for children, then I should be able to use my voice to stand up for children, advocate for children, and help East Islip School Board and school community make fiscally sound decisions that put student first. And so that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. This will be our last question. We kind of ran out of questions. I was using some of the questions that Suffolk Region PTA has as examples. So this will be our final question, and we will start with Dr. Rivers. What can we do as a community to keep our budget in line and keep our taxes from getting out of control?
So keep the budget in line and keep the taxes from being out of control. I think it's important to look to the experts in that area. So we have an assistant superintendent for a business that I think is doing a fine job. I think we have to do a better job. In my review of our grants, we have the IDEA 611 grant. There was $270,000 that was not carried over, that was carried over and unspent from 23-24. So making sure that we're spending our grant funds. That would be 2 teachers with salaries and benefits. The Title II grant, there was $52,000 unspent in that grant. Those again could be professional development opportunities for teachers as well as administrators. And so ensuring that we're doing the best job we can, not leaving money on the table with grants, and in trying to identify other competitive grants that will support what we need to do in the district outside of the general administrative fund.
Thank you. Mr. Sasson?
Yeah, a lot of that is up to this, again, the assistant superintendent of business, and Steve Harrison's doing a great job at that. We have to look at those things line by line and make sure that everything's done in an appropriate, fiscally responsible way. Also, I think that even them, us reinvesting into new CDs and money markets garnered us over $1 million this year, so that would be, maybe 10 teachers right there. So that was something that I made sure that we did for sure. That was a big one. And of course, what you have to do is make smart decisions when it comes to looking at purchasing orders, when it comes to salaries, just basically making smart decisions, not having superfluous people doing the same jobs, and just making very careful decisions about everything that was going down.
Thank you. This concludes our question and answer period of the program. We will now begin with closing statements. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make a closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Sasson.
All right, thank you again for listening to this conversation. Thank you, Ms. Dr. Rivers, for joining us. We obviously care about students. We care about it a little bit. There's some different things that we believe, especially maybe when it comes down to a couple of things, security, DEI, things like that. But of course, every student needs to feel empowered, and every student needs to feel included. One of the things I take issue with a little bit during the presentation was that our lack of diversity would make our kids not prepared for the world, and I understand that for sure, but if you ever speak to an East Islip kid, the last thing in the world you would see is a kid judging somebody else because of their race, their ethnicity, their gender. We're really, really inclusive community. When it comes to just go watch the sports. That's what sports does to us. If you go watch a football team, go see for yourself. There's all kinds of different kids on that team. I mean, not as massive a number as if you're represented as the American public as a whole, but if you were to watch that team in particular, you would see that they have a tremendous bond and race disappears. And that's the goal, that's the ultimate goal, it always has been, for us not to look at those things, to basically teach people and respect them for who they are and merits. I think everything should be obviously as close to as merit-based as possible. And that's the ultimate goal of the world, to make everything based on your skill. And if everyone looks a certain way because they're the best at the job, that doesn't necessarily matter. As long as they can do the job effectively, that's all I care about. Also, as a school board member, anyone can look at the record and see how I voted and take a look at my interests. Anyone can take a look at the letters that I wrote and supported along the way. And anybody can just reach out to any community member and ask about me in particular. If you have any questions ever, you can always just email me and I can get back to you. I can leave my cell phone number. I'm interested in talking to people from the community. I'm out there. I'm going to be out there for a while. I'm invested for the next 3 years if I were to be elected. And I will be a voice for you in every way, shape, or form. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rivers?
Thank you. So I just want to thank the Suffolk Region PTA for organizing this event and the community for showing up tonight. You could have been anywhere else on this rainy night, but you chose to be here to listen to us tonight. I just want to respond to something that Mr. Sasson said. Race never disappears, Mr. Sasson. Gender never disappears. I'm running for the East Islip School Board, not just because I care, but because I'm prepared. Not that you're not, I'm just saying I'm prepared. I understand the role of a board member as to govern through policy, evaluate the superintendent, have conversations, not to micromanage. It means supporting the superintendent and their leadership team in their work. I have deep experience in district policy, staffing, and budgeting. I ask the right questions. I make fiscally responsible decisions. I'm a former grant writer, so I understand grants, competitive grants. I also believe in expanding outreach to attract a diverse pool of educators and staff and supporting the curriculum. Right now, the administrators in this district, none of them look like me. This work requires courage, sacrifice, collaboration, and a clear understanding of both what is possible and what is necessary. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves to get to work. I'm ready to support this community. And I thank you all. There are people here that don't know me, but I thank you for giving me the opportunity to get to know me, and I appreciate and hope to get your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending tonight's Meet the Candidate night at East Islip. I wish both candidates good luck, and please remember to go out and vote. Thank you.